Everybody get your hands up.
Hi, man.
It's me.
I ran into two guys that I'm going to be on a panel with in a little bit.
That's right.
It's going to be cool. It's going to be awesome.
How y'all liking Texas so far?
It's fun.
It's great.
It's been a great trip.
Everything's really big.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a little more used to it, but for him, yeah, it's a whole new world.
You get like a drink and they refill it, and it's like, what?
Yeah, your mind is blown.
Yeah, man.
It's so funny.
Love it.
Oh,
Love
the
it.
refills?
Yeah, we don't have that. Refills. You have to pay for everything. It's insane.
Man, we got shit to do and y'all just over here buying stuff.
I don't want to miss out on them there. Toidles.
Turtles?
So guys, thank you for coming. And all you guys at home, thanks for stopping in, tuning in on this fine Sunday morning here at Retropalooza 2019. So we're going to go ahead and do a little panel on toy hunting across the globe. And I'm going to introduce you to all of my buds, starting with the greatness down there.
Greetings, salutations, Rube the Great here. Currently, we're live streaming on everybody's stuff, I believe. Cincy's is over here. Mine's is down here. And then the Boston Blob back there. Appreciate you for showing up, sir. Appreciate you. Everybody, thank you. Who else live streaming? Yeah, I'm a local toy hunter. Yeah, there you go. Small-time YouTuber. There you go. I collect things. I do things.
I'm Cincy Nerd. All of you watching right now probably know that since you're watching my channel. But I am a toy hunter and toy collector who lived in Cincinnati for 6 years, but I now live in the great state of Texas. Whoop. And I like adult collectibles.
Wait, pause.
Huh?
What kind?
Wait. Define adult collectible.
We can't call them toys anymore. So.
Oh, that's true. That is so true.
Yeah, but when you say adult collectibles, that don't sound like...
Yeah.
Are they battery operated?
Some of them are.
Battery operated, yes.
All right, guys, so my name is Craig from Not Another Retro Channel. Thanks for stopping in. I collect, or I've been collecting for a while, but I mainly collect vintage toys. The newer stuff like Marvel Legends, some SH figure arts. I love TMNT, Motu. Motu's a good one. And I do some local retail shopping, thrift stores, antique malls, and then I travel too. So we go to different cons in different states.
I'm a Grecofabulous. I am a toy hunter / dirty reseller, flipper, scalper from the great state of Massachusetts. Woo! Go Patriots!
Boo!
America's team. That's right. Got a friendly face in the crowd.
That's friendly?
I don't care about the team really, so.
All right. A lot of indifference too. A lot of empty seats. Anyways, I am a toy hunter from Massachusetts. I primarily collect things that I grew up with. 80s, early 90s. Transformers is my number one. Power Rangers, Pee-wee's Playhouse, Thundercats, Voltron. List goes on and on and on. I love digging through people's attics and flea markets. I love getting dirty, trying to find these things.
Hey guys, my name is Ed. I do a channel called Ed's Retro Geek Out where I go hunting for retro games, vintage toys. I do it in Belgium and other countries in Europe, so that's what's making this panel kind of
Unique.
toy hunting across the globe.
Yeah, if you weren't here, we wouldn't have a panel.
Across America, I guess.
Yeah.
So
yeah, 3 from Texas.
Yeah, so thanks so much for showing up, guys. Yeah, what do? I do like game room and toy room videos where I go to other people's collections. I just collect and I do the game hunting and the toy hunting videos. So that's what you can find over on my channel. Took 3 plane rides and 22 hours of travel to get here, but I'm loving it. This is great. Love being in Texas.
And how we all met each other, because we were all perfect strangers like over 2-3 years ago, probably.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the Syndicate Toy Hunters.
Actually, when I started, I just started I remember I actually just started going back into collecting because I used to collect just random things here and there, but like actually action figures, Marvel Legends, Deadpool, Juggernaut Wave. That's when I actually just started collecting. Because somebody came to Walmart, looked at me, do you have this? Do you have this? I'm like,
For the YouTubers, they're toy hunters.
and then I found it, and then I just started collecting from there. Got associated with looking at Glenn Webb's videos when he was here. Yes, and that was like right before I got to get to know his videos like a month before he passed. So it was like that was kind of shocking nuts when that happened. Like, bro, I just started watching the videos, but Cincy Nerd and D-Bag Robot Gang out in Cali, they're the ones that actually pushed for me to start doing the channel. They're the ones that got me started doing this, and then they gave me a lot of hype, and then that's where I got to meet Craig from there. We end up, Cincy and I ended up starting a Facebook group called the Syndicate Toy Hunters, and by doing that, that was just, it just kind of exploded real quick. That's what she said. And my mom's watching. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, man. So I've been collecting my entire life. A lot of people ask, when did you start collecting toys? I've been collecting since like as long as I can remember, since I was like 2 years old, with Star Wars figures, and I never really stopped. I collected through high school. My collection's kind of gone different ways, from action figures to comic books to baseball cards to hockey jerseys, all kinds of stuff. But I've always collected some kind of action figure along the way. And as an adult, I already have a freaking low battery.
Already? Here, I got an extra charge.
There you go. As an adult collector, I didn't really have any friends that collected. So it just so happened that I was on a business trip up in Ohio, in Columbus. I was bored off my ass. I was sitting in my hotel room, looking at YouTube, and I looked at guys like P2 Vision, guys like Shartimus Prime. I saw that they were actually making videos of their collections, unboxings, toy hunting, and I was like, I could do that. I have a lot of extra time on my hands. I'm sitting in this hotel room, I got nothing to do. I could either go see a movie, or I could go to a store and go try and find something, record myself and put it on YouTube, and see if I can meet some people that are cool. So that's what I did. I filmed some videos, put it on YouTube, didn't really have anyone watching, and then it just slowly kind of started building upon itself. So once I had an audience, I guess, I met this guy online. I was still in Ohio, he was down in Texas, and then Mike the Hunter out in California.
You want to tell them what website we met on? Because this sounds real creepy now.
Yeah,
Christian Eagle.
Farmers, now Farmers Only.
Yeah, Farmers Only, hey, I was like, hey.
FarmersOnly.com.
Teddy bear love.
And we were toy collectors, D-Bag Robot Gang, and the 4 of us were like, how do we interact with, we all have different audiences, how do we interact with people more? So we created this Facebook group, Syndicate, people started pouring in there, and the rest is history.
So me meeting Rube and Cincy, it was before the Syndicate started. I mean, I knew of them, and that was actually through D-Bag Robot Gang as well, because when I started doing videos, it was me and Boston Mike.
What's up?
Why don't you come up here, dude?
Nah, I got a better view here.
Okay, all
Put the
right.
mask on though.
Yeah.
Sweating.
But we started doing hunt videos together, and so I started putting up my videos, and you know, I had like maybe 3 views, you know, maybe like 10 subs, and then all of a sudden,
So don't pay attention to that.
it started growing, you know, and oh my gosh, Drew, I can't get through this, dude.
Come on, they're waiting for the toy talk. Hurry up.
You're just walking into these jokes. That's you walking into these jokes.
Right. And so anyway, yeah, D-Bag actually, he left me a message, and he was like, hey, I'm from Cali, I do hunting, you know, I like what you're doing. And I was like, holy crap, somebody other than my kids and friends are commenting on my videos. So then, you know, after that, D-Bag was talking about Cincy Nerd, and then Rube, and then shortly after that, the Syndicate Facebook group got started, and it's been amazing ever since. And we've all became pretty close, pretty cool. Go on trips and do some toy hunting across the United States. And then these guys, I met Greco, or no, I met him here, but doing, physically meeting here, but like a few years back, I was sick at home, I had the flu or whatever, so I just turned on the YouTube.
I nursed him back down.
He bring you soup.
I turned on the YouTubes, and he popped up, and I was like, who the heck is this guy? He's freaking hilarious. And then started following him there. And then shortly after that, I met Mr. Ed, because I really liked his videos. He kind of has that Game Chaser thing going, and you know, Game Chasers is a great channel and all that, so.
My timeline's a little fuzzy. I don't have the best memory. I don't know if Ed started out first. Ed was like my biggest fan. Self-admitted, I'm not just like projecting here, but so yeah, no, he used to watch my videos, comment on them, so we kind of developed a relationship there, and it's blossomed ever since. And this is really cool that we're finally getting to meet face to face. Thanks to this man to my right, Craig. Obviously. At that point, once I heard this was all coming together, I knew that I needed a place to stay. So I started to befriend him and say, hey, wouldn't it be cool? I'm a big fan.
You sound like you're being passed around.
Whatever it takes to, you know, fly the country for free. So no, you know, we again, my memory's kind of fuzzy here, but obviously
Did he drug you too?
But we met that way, and you know, we met, and things are going great, and I'm really happy that I'm here. And then Craig introduced me to these guys on my right once we found out we were going to be a thing today.
Yeah.
So it's a nice one big happy family. And then what are we talking about? Like how we started out? Is that the other part of this?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, I started my YouTube channel oddly enough with comic books. I randomly saw a bunch of people that were just doing kind of like show and tell haul videos, and I don't know why, but somehow that kind of sparked my interest and creativity, and I came from I went to school for like video production, things like that, so I just wanted something to kind of keep the creative juices alive. So I saw YouTube as an outlet, and it kind of worked out that way. So I was in that community, met a lot of great people there. I actually met up with another group of guys at Motor City Comic Con, and that's become like a regular thing for the past 5 years. So you guys are my B squad.
Wow.
Things are going good.
Like one of the channels I was following when they just started out was Game Chasers, through watching AVGN and stuff like that. And I always had the idea of making a YouTube show like Game Chasers, but based on my bands that I play in. So I'll kind of have like a reality show around that. And then when the bands like quit or it wasn't happening, I couldn't get commitment out of it. I had more free time, and I ended up, collecting retro games. So I was like, hey, I'll give it a try with what everybody's already doing on YouTube. But I'm having fun and being creative. And then I started looking for channels like Game Chasers, and somebody on Reddit posted Grecofabulous. So that was like, okay, this guy is amazing, the Spidey Sense videos. So that's how I met you. I started commenting like a geek. And yeah, from there, I did see a couple of guys, you know, just looking for new channels, trying to find new great content. I saw a couple of guys that had like the Syndicate intro thing on their videos, and that's how I found Cincy Nerd, I found Rube, I found Craig, I found Narc. So it's pretty much through the group that I found you guys. From entering the group, you know, you see all the videos popping up, you check it out. If you like the guy that's in there, you know, he's up. And now, like 2 years later, I'm actually in a room with these people from like halfway across the globe. So it's pretty amazing.
He's in here willingly. We're not forcing him.
No, I'm in here willingly.
Craig is running a hostel.
And I'm totally geeking out. So thank you all for, you know, joining in on the panel today.
So we're all from, Cincy was in Cincinnati.
Yes.
Rube he's from Arlington. I'm from here myself. Greco is from Boston, and Ed is from Belgium. So I guess we can talk about what we see, like variants as far as like vintage, the vintage line for like Motu, TMNT, and kind of compare to our areas, and even like Marvel Legends too, because I know you said that in Belgium that they don't have any of that. It's an imported item. So can you speak a little bit on that?
Yeah, what I've been seeing a lot in the Syndicate group is just people picking up the Legends, the Marvel Legends, but also NECA toys and stuff. That's stuff I would never see. Now they're starting to actually get imported through toy dealers that are at the Comic-Cons and stuff like that, but it's way too expensive because I see you guys picking it up for like $12 and getting deals, and we have like 50 euros on it, which is like $60.
Good lord.
Yeah, it's insane. And of course, it's stuff that people collect vintage, so there are people trying to get those Power Rangers, the newer editions that you guys have over here in Walmart and all that. It's just not happening over in Belgium or other parts of Europe. I think maybe the UK has some of it, but yeah, apart from that, no. Then, like vintage-wise, there's a couple of toy lines like Master of the Universe. If you've seen like Toy Hunter, this TV show, you know, there's a couple of toys that didn't get released in the original Master of the Universe toy line at the very end of the 80s, but it did get released in Italy. So those are the ones we can actually get a hold of, like the dinosaurs, the giants. I see them sometimes, but they are really expensive. They're still rare. TMNT wise, there's differences in cards. Like you have the hero cards, you have the French cards, and a lot of the weapons are different colors compared to the USA releases, but also just the paint jobs on the figures themselves.
In my area, I know, you know, my interests are pretty broad as far as like toy lines that I'm looking for and collecting. So I know that in my area, like, I'm the only guy, it seems like, that wants like Pee-wee's Playhouse stuff, or like Teddy Ruxpin, or Sailor Moon, you know, those type of things. So, you know, that helps me from a negotiating standpoint, knowing that, you know, if somebody posts an ad, I don't have to run up there and be the first guy to grab it. I can kind of wait it out, get the price I'm looking for, you know, because you don't want to bid against yourself. So that's one thing about knowing your environment that I think is important to kind of, when you're out there looking for toys and toy hunting. But that being said, you know, all the other lines like G.I. Joe, Motu, Transformers, like the more popular lines like that, it's pretty much a first come, first serve.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not the first one to act on it, you know, do ask a price, sometimes over ask a price, which again is not something that feels good to me. I don't really want to do that. But that's you know, you have to be the first to act on that. So
Do you see like a lot of like G.I. Joes, like vintage Joes in Boston, like in a lot of your videos and like Spruce, like I see a lot of G.I. Joes, and is that correct too, Mike?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah. Where I get all mine. Can't find them here.
yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I've been super fortunate, and I would love to be one of those guys that can like run out there every weekend and go to the flea markets and go yard sailing and all that stuff. Yeah. But I think like you know, a good number of us here, you know, we're also family men and have a full-time job, so yeah. So I can only abandon my family, you know, like events during like this. So you kind of pick and choose your battles there. But I've been super fortunate to find stuff. It does seem like there is a lot out there, which is kind of surprising because, like you said, I mean, as the popularity of like hunting and YouTube channels rises up, it is kind of surprising that people can still find things. I mean, like for example, our first day here, we went yard sailing and we were already up in somebody's attic and pulling down old, video games and things like that. And so, for those of you that watch the Game Chasers, you know that they've had trouble recently and that things are kind of dried up in this area, but they're still out there. And it's not just like a thing here and a thing there. Like I'm finding boxed collections and for good prices, most importantly. So
What was that? So you found a sealed Castle Grayskull this year, right?
Yeah.
You want to speak on that?
yeah, that was one of my latest hauls. I was at a random flea market in the Massachusetts area. Didn't even know about this flea market. It only happens like twice a year. I'm not going to name drop it. I'm going to keep it secret. I don't want to see anybody there. And I almost, it's funny because I almost overslept because I totally forgot about it. But luckily, Facebook reminded me that it was happening. And I went out there, and it's not really known for toys or anything like that. They had a bunch of things, but one lady just had like all the sealed Motu stuff. She had a sealed Castle Grayskull, a sealed Mosquitoer, Stealth Stalkers, Bashosaurus, Battle Bones, like sealed. And she was like her asking prices were pretty phenomenal. Of course, that's not good enough for me. I still have to haggle. I can't just take the deal and run because it's not in my DNA. But we worked out a really good deal.
Yeah. That was
A ridiculous deal.
A ridiculous deal. I have the video up on YouTube, so Grecofabulous if you want to check it out.
I almost threw up in my mouth watching that video. Just knowing
That's the reaction I try to get from my audience, is just make them violently vomit all over the place.
So Cincy nerd, so you lived outside of Cincinnati.
I did.
And before that, you lived in Dallas.
I did.
Yeah. So can you kind of talk on vintage-wise, when you're up in Cincinnati and they had Kenner there previously, what do you see up there versus down here?
A lot more vintage stuff up there. A lot more things that are available to me. Boxed mask vehicles and stuff, and prototypes from Kenner, Star Wars prototypes. It's crazy how many people worked for Kenner up there. One of my coworkers in my real job, my real profession, I was just talking to him a little bit, and he said that his dad was like he was the managing designer for Kenner, and he actually had all these prototypes, and he sent me these pictures. It's just crazy. You just talk to someone, and they're like, oh yeah, my dad worked for Kenner. Oh yeah, my grandfather worked for Kenner, and they still have all that stuff. So that stuff is all still floating around in that area, so it's all available. You go to random flea markets. There's a big flea market called Trader's World, and there's just lots of vintage stuff out there. So you can get really, really lucky and find really expensive stuff for really low prices. At the same time, there's a lot of stores that have kind of popped up. The toy department, shout out to those guys. I'm live right now, by the way. That's why I'm pointing over here.
Why does he keep pointing at his phone?
Who's he pointing at?
Who the hell is he pointing at over there? So yeah, toy department opened up. They just have a lot of vintage stuff. I bought most of my mask stuff there.
Prototypes too.
Prototypes there. They have an entire case, just ridiculous stuff in that case. But just that area, it's kind of like spread throughout, because you came up to Louisville for work, and he found stuff down in Kentucky. So it's just kind of like spread out as people have moved away from Cincinnati. The vintage stuff is just kind of concentrated in that area. So when I came down here, not as much vintage. Down here is that there is a very, very high concentration of retail stores as opposed to Cincinnati, whereas I can go within a 15-mile radius. I have 5 Walmarts and 5 Targets and a bunch of GameStops, and GameStop is headquartered here, so they always get all the exclusives first. I think I was the first guy to find that War Machine Punisher. So it's just crazy. I'm kind of a product of my environment with what I collect. Whatever is more available to me, that's what I've kind of concentrated on. So I got a lot of the vintage stuff when I was up in Cincinnati, but when I'm down here and I have huge access to all these retail stores and constant restocking, I've been kind of buying a lot more modern stuff. So yep.
That's awesome. Yeah, when I went to Cincinnati to visit Cincy and Josh, I've never seen anything like that vintage-wise, and that's in Kentucky too. It's just everywhere. Like freaking everywhere. The flea markets, the shops. It's crazy. It's mind blowing. Rube.
I didn't do it. I swear.
Mr. Rube. So when I started watching Rube, he was hunting a lot of Marvel Legends and stuff, and he was finding them first. Like, I remember that, and that's how I was like, this guy is literally in my backyard, and he's finding all this stuff before me. Do you want to talk about, you know, that? Did you have any kind of like plan, or was it just like
the hunt?
Yeah,
just
the hunt.
All right. So when it comes to the hunt, most of the time it's all impromptu. There's no real like, I'm gonna go find this, I'm gonna go find this. No, you just kind of have to go and just see what you can find, because normally here in Texas, we're not known for getting anything first. We're known for getting everything like, oh, 4 weeks later, or we'll never see it, or this store gets it and no one else will get it. So a lot of times I would, at the time I was working at Walmart too, so I was able to see stuff that came in first, and I had connections with other stores like, hey, do y'all have this in here yet? Oh yeah, you want to come pick this up? Like, sure, I'll come pick this up. But it's more of actually just getting out and just driving around and just finding everything. Like this area is so easy to get to a lot of stuff, because I think it was the Homecoming Wave, Marvel Legends Homecoming Wave.
That video was crazy.
Yeah, that was probably my most popular video, and then I don't know what happened after that. But you know, it's like, yeah. But I was, because we're all in a chat group, and a friend of ours, Foxy Foreal, Cody, he's over in Tennessee. It was Memorial Day. I remember that because it was just, he said, I was like, I'm off both jobs right now. I'm going to stay at home. I'm going to sleep. It was 7 o'clock in the morning, and he posted up in the chat room, hey, I just found the Homecoming Wave. I was like, oh, well, let me go and head out. Get to got dressed and gassed up the car, and I just drove around, and I went to like 6 different Walmarts in the area and found them. But I found them on the 4th one, and it was just like the whole wave just there. And this is like what, a couple weeks before it was supposed to release.
Yeah.
So you know, Hasbro don't care about release dates. These stores don't care about release dates. They just kind of throw stuff out, and if it gets flagged at the register, then it gets flagged at the register.
I'm just curious. Are you on a first name basis with like the toy manager at all these Walmarts?
Some of them, yes.
Yeah.
I make connections because I've been kicked out of a lot of places. Because I don't know if any of y'all got kicked out of like recording in there. Because at that time I was recording with my phone. But like they'll see me like, you can't record in here. I'm just like, no. All right.
Never catch me.
I was like, all right, I'll yell racism and just walk out.
I can't really play that card.
But no, it's like I've gotten kicked out of GameStop. Toys R Us was actually, when Toys R Us was here, like they were real friendly with me. Like I knew some of the people there, so they're always hitting me up. Hey, we got this and we got this.
What was that place you and I got kicked out of? Remember? Remember?
Chuck E. Cheese.
Maybe.
No. That was
Sir, you
before
don't have any children. You can't be here.
Sir, get out the ball pit. Get out of there, sir. Where did we get kicked out?
That was
a movie trading company.
Yeah.
We were actually over in what was that, Hearst, right?
Hearst.
Yeah, the one at Hearst. We just walked in, and like he and I were doing a video. That was for Big Kid Kingpin's. What was the thing? Raising donating toys, whatever it was. But his little event that he had, we go out there and like we filmed. That was when Toys R Us was still open right there. So we went to that Toys R Us. It's like, hey, movie training company's over here. Let's just go to movie training company and see what they got. We go out there as soon as, and we're like walking in with our phones up and recording, and then they're like, oh, you can't film in here. Like you saw us walk in here, and like whatever.
That's the thing. Like over in Europe, there was not like a YouTuber every 4 miles. So it's really weird to just start doing it, especially in a store. Like grab a phone or a big camera like that and just start doing it, and definitely doing it in English there, because you're gonna attract lots of attention. But I have never gotten kicked out anywhere. I just guess because over here YouTube is a trend, and there's lots of people doing it that are like, yeah, no filming here. But yeah, we don't have any of the Marvel Legends, so there's no point in going there trying to find them.
Bless you. But you've been doing good with all the because I saw one of your most recent videos with that giant room with TMNT vintage stuff, like still carded. That room was like amazing. I'm like drooling over the whole video. Like,
yeah, the thing is, in Belgium, I kind of like know all the vintage collectors now. There's like 12.
We all sit at the same table.
Yeah. And like they trade like with each other, really. So I'm gonna be hitting up their toy rooms and doing another video on those, because there's like epic stuff in there. There's one guy that has everything, the real Ghostbusters toy line, everything sealed, like the whole freaking toy line. So that's gonna be hopefully a great video. Check it out. But yeah, I've been doing the toy room videos just to get out there and to learn and to experience it, because it's probably the only thing around as far as like vintage stuff over at flea markets. Like, it seems like it's dried up. Like, people that are in their 30s now aren't like selling their toys. So you're never gonna see Thundercats or Modu or TMNT. That was like 5 years ago when you could really find really good stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting kicked out for filming, it's like strange. You'll get lots of people like doing like, what is he doing? What is happening over here? But never got kicked out. Did you get kicked out somewhere? Probably.
I mean, not toy related, but plenty of other. No, I've never gotten kicked out for like toy hunting or anything. But even though I've been doing this for a few years, there's still a little bit of awkwardness depending on the situation. Like, obviously, at a convention or some of the flea markets in my area, it's more. Yeah, it's expected, and it's common practice so the way I do things. I mean, I don't have like a giant setup, but I usually wear like a GoPro strapped to my chest, so people are kind of like, "Is that like a police cam? Like, what is that?" Right?
Yeah. What's going on?
It's the world's the worst undercover cop. But it's it gets that cool like point of view shot that I like with my videos, and so I'm pretty comfortable there, especially if I'm like with somebody else or like with another YouTuber. So that's okay. But yeah, like filming in stores, I'm not super comfortable with. This, again, especially if you're like a grown man and there's like a couple kids in the aisle, and it's like you kind of raise a few flags there. And then just other situations where places that you haven't tried out before. You never know how people are going to react. I've had a few people kind of ask questions, even at the flea market, like, "Oh, what are you doing?" At first, I started lying and being like, "Oh, I have this. I'm a hiker and I make like hiking videos." I don't know why that's more believable than I'm hunting for toys. Because I had on like my backpack. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
Just leave them confused. Like,
yeah, right. They're like, what?
Right.
And then you just disappear. But then I started telling people, I hunt for vintage toys and I make like hunting videos, and they're like, "Oh, okay, that's good." But some people are like, "Oh, I don't want to be on camera," and like I'll like creatively edit them out of the video, have like one-sided negotiations, which is kind of funny. Other than that, I don't know. I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, you're good, man. All right, so we know we all collect a lot of lines up here. Let's talk about focusing in on a certain line. Have you guys gotten to the point yet where you're like, okay, so I collect these 12 things? Are you guys starting to get to the point where it's only like, Marvel Legends or TMNT or anything like that? Let's start with the nerd, Mr. Cincy Nerd.
Yeah, I mean, you can't collect everything. You want to collect as much stuff as you can, but it's just, you run out of room. And if you can't display it, if it's just going to sit in boxes, what's the point of having it? So, I mean, technically you could switch out your collections and whatnot, but I try and keep my collection focused. I used to do a lot of Hot Toys, but I realized they were taking up a lot of room. So I sold off some of the Hot Toy stuff. Gave me a reason, because I was moving from Cincinnati to Texas. So I had to kind of lower the amount of stuff I was bringing. So it was a good opportunity for me to kind of cycle out some stuff so that I had money to buy new stuff. But as far as like the vintage stuff goes, I try and focus on the stuff that I really, really wanted as a kid but didn't get. Specifically Mask, G.I. Joe, GoBots, and now Turtles. I actually had quite a few Turtles, but it's just mostly nostalgic factor. I had like the entire first line of the soft head, so that's what I've kind of been hunting for first, is the soft head stuff. But yeah, I just try to, focus my collection as much as possible so that I'm not spending all this money on everything, because you can very, very easily fall into that trap. And if you see something you like, "Oh, I'll get that," and then the completist in us, because most of us collectors are completists, you want everything from that line. So It is a black hole. I try to avoid it and just keep as focused as possible.
A lot of what I've been collecting now is like what I like. You know, it's like, of course, the vintage TMNT stuff, some Ghostbusters stuff now I'm picking up, but like the Storm Collectibles, Mortal Kombat figures is something I've been into because I grew up playing Mortal Kombat. Some of the SH figure art stuff for like Power Rangers and all this stuff. Like everything in my collection I'm putting together is for me. You know, it's not, you know, it's everybody wants to be that whole completist thing. You know, they want to be able to like, oh, I'm just buying figures. Well, after a while, you do waste a lot of money just buying figures, and now you got to resell it, and you probably get maybe 25% of the value of it, and you're just kind of stuck with stuff. So, you know, it's like more of like stuff that I don't want to sell. Like I said, completely more of my Ninja Turtle stuff. Music figures is probably one of my biggest things that I'm getting more into. Of course, you know, he found when we went last year, it was the Jam Master J, Mezco. We were at Madness Comics and Games, and he just said, "Hey, Rube, look at this." I was like, "I ain't even gone over there yet, but thank you." So, you know, I picked that up, and then I ended up picking up the other two online to finish them out. Just finding other stuff because like music is important to me. So it's like I want that in my collection, because when you come into my place, you know, I want you to say, "Oh, where did you get this? Where you get this?" Not just a whole bunch of figures that are just kind of there, like. And I kind of make fun of Craig with his knockoff collection.
I love my knockoffs.
That I was like, why did I used to make fun of him about that. I was like, why quit buying knockoffs? But I was like, you know what? That's his collection. You know, he wants that in his collection. He likes it. Like, go for it. Be happy.
Brings me joy.
Brings you joy.
That's right. Mr. Ed, focused collection.
I kind of just pick up what looks interesting to me, and then I start, you know, searching after the information about it. Like I picked up one Boglin, and now I have like 30. Yeah. So that's something I'm definitely gonna keep. I was able to buy like practically the whole Mad Balls line in one go, so I did that. But as far as focusing, for me, it's like once or twice a year I'll take a look at my collection, because I have one room where I put it in, and then I'll start deciding like, am I gonna get rid of this stuff or not? Because usually I don't buy retail apart from Switch games. Usually I'll get it cheap, or at least cheaper than retail, or what the value is going for on price chart or on eBay. So it'll give me like, if I want to get rid of it, I'll make a little bit of money on that. And you know, just freeing up space usually means getting rid of stuff, but because I want to complete a set, like I'm going for a full Game Boy set. I know we're doing toys, but I guess some of you are Game Boy collectors or gaming collectors here too. So I'll like get rid of, what did I get rid of? Like GameCube stuff. Don't have that anymore. But that brings in money, because I think like another part is like the people on YouTube like putting up a video every couple of days. Like, how are you getting all this money to buy this stuff? It's because, you know, you buy and you sell some stuff. Because obviously we can't just pay for everything. We buy it right away. So it's definitely like a whole thought process about what you're gonna focus on getting, what is most desired at that time. Right now it's Turtles for me and NES games, so vintage Turtles. And you know, like some of the gory stuff like the Mad Balls and the Boglins. That's like the main thing I'm really happy about now. And it's just a thrill of the hunt for me, really. But I guess like if I were to live in the US, going to all the Walmarts, it's something I would get caught into trying to get at, because I think there is a certain addiction or like some kind of problem in here, because I want to complete everything. So hopefully that answers it.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
All right.
Greco.
Who's next?
My turn. So as far as my collecting, I definitely like to cast a wide net, just because it really increases your chances of finding something when you go out. Because you know, the worst thing is when you kind of spend a lot of time hunting and you don't really find anything out there. So if you kind of cast a wide net as far as, you know, what lines you're looking after, I feel like there's less of a chance you'll be disappointed or empty-handed for vintage stuff, which is primarily what I go for. And then as far as like, I don't think there's a line that I personally need to complete. I think I really focus it down to the things that mean the most to me, or like the iconic characters. Like if we're talking like TMNT, it's like the four, the kind of like the 10 backs, right? The four original Turtles, April O'Neil, like the iconic characters. I don't need like, I don't even know, like Mushman variant, whatever, like to me that doesn't matter.
Mushman's good.
Yeah, Mushman. It's a very hard to find figure. So it's for me, it's good to have that kind of finish line because it's something to work towards, and you don't overextend yourself. I mean, that being said, even with Transformers, that line keeps moving. At first, I was like, all right, I want to collect up to like, Fortress Maximus, and then that's it. But then I've been finding toys beyond that, and if they're a good enough deal, you're gonna pick them up. So
Kind of like Unicron.
Yeah, I did back the HasLab Unicron. So there goes all my toy money.
Yeah.
So,
How much was that? How much was Mr. Unicron?
before or after tax?
After. Let's go after.
All right. I mean, this isn't like a well-kept secret. But
No.
Is your wife watching?
no, my wife does not acknowledge my YouTube life at all. She's lots of shame on my family. $610 for Unicron.
That's so rich. It was like 550, wasn't it?
It's $575 before tax. I have free shipping.
Totally worth it.
And it will be coming out. I will be getting it sometime in 2021 is when it's actually going to be delivered.
Not even next year?
No.
Good lord.
Yeah.
That's a long way.
Yeah, it is a long way. Hold on, I'm just gonna.
Rethinking life. Like, what the hell did I just do?
I'm acknowledging my decisions right now.
And you have to pay for it up front too, right?
You have to pay. Yeah,
Wow.
it's fully paid for. Luckily, though, I was able to sell some stuff before then to kind of, and that's the like. When I first started out, you're buying individual figures. Like, this is cool, that's cool, and then you're like, well, how much for the box? Or how much for that? And like doing that, you want to buy lots. So you keep what you want, sell the rest. So the hobby just reinvests in itself.
Yep.
So you're not just hemorrhaging money.
Right.
Which is how I kind of, again, justify it, where I'm not like, hey kids, we can't eat tonight because Daddy bought a Unicron. so that's how I kind of justify it.
Nothing from Boston Mike.
Sorry, cereal. I can see a year from now. What's this big box?
We're eating lots of pancakes this week.
That's our new house.
So yeah, I have that finish line. And with some of the lines, obviously it makes, unless you're really lucky, it makes sense to stick with the loose figures, loose complete. But then there's other lines like, like Power Rangers, like, you can, eventually you're gonna get, at least like the figures, like the original figures, mint on card or in sealed box. Like, you don't have to, it almost doesn't make sense to buy them loose complete. And some of the Turtles ones too, like, I'm still holding out that I can get carded, some of the early carded ones for a decent deal. So that kind of factors into what I'm buying and keeping and how I value items.
Awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome.
Good, and I love it.
I say some good things.
So for myself, I was actually talking to Ed last night and about doing some purging and reinvesting into my collection. I have quite a bit of like high dollar figures like the SH figure art, like Marvel figures, and a couple hot toys, stuff like that. Stuff that I like, but I'm just totally not attached to. So we were talking, and I really think I'm going to purge a little bit of that out and reinvest into some TMNT and some O2. So I think that's going to be my new focus for a little bit anyway, because it's fun. It's something that I'm attached to, obviously, and we'll go from there. We'll see what happens. That's the fun of collecting. I mean, it's never ending, and it's just good times. So
I did have one question. I'm wondering how much of your collecting, all of you, is dictated by how much room you have to kind of like display these things and keep them just, because like for me personally, like literally, like if you watch my YouTube channel, I have the same backdrop. That's literally one wall of my bedroom. Like the other side is like our bed, my wife's stuff, like a computer, a punching bag randomly, which it's like our home gym and like my toy room in one. Like and we can't use the punching bag because all the toys will topple over. So I'm just curious, like how much of that factors into? Because I know there's plenty of times where I'm like, I have stuff stuffed in closets, storage units, like I don't have room for the stuff, and at some point you just want to declutter.
Yeah.
So like if you had like unlimited space, would you be collecting a lot more?
I think that's why we stopped collecting Funko Pops.
Yeah, they take up a lot of space. The Pops.
I had about 300 at one point, and I just got rid of my purge of the whole collection.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. The Funko Pops just because you want to keep them in the box, and you shouldn't, but you want to because they're more valuable that way. But if you ever go down that Funko Pop hole, it's just it's never ending.
Yeah, probably 30% of my collection is on display, and like you guys saw, like half of my garage is just full of boxes, and it's embarrassing for sure. But if I had the space, I would definitely have everything I could out that I was proud of that I didn't want to get rid of or anything like that. So, what about you, Ed?
Oh, space-wise?
Yeah.
Well, I have like the one room, which is I can put in more shelves.
Yeah.
But it's also like the YouTube room to do the videos in. So it's getting like pretty stuffed. So I'm gonna have to get rid of some stuff soon.
This is a very depressing panel. We're just gonna have to give up on everything we're talking about.
Because
We're reevaluating life right now.
like the best thing to really enjoy the collection is either like play the games or just sit in a couch and look at all the stuff. I mean, I don't really play with it, but display, that's a fun thing to do.
It looks nice.
So I mean, I do still have an attic that I can just push stuff in. It's pretty empty. So I mean, I have a buffer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just like buying stuff.
Yeah.
All right, capitalism. Let's go.
All right, guys. So we got, I don't know, like 7 minutes. We can do some Q&A if anybody has any questions out there, or anybody in the stream.
I would have questions on the stream, but my phone frickin' died. So
Yeah.
Any questions?
Jody, is there anything up there? No.
Nobody
question.
cares.
Yes.
With YouTube's new policy on toy videos, how do you think it will impact your channel? And what kind of changes do you foresee making your channel to?
See, I'm not too. I don't know all of it yet. I just recently started reading into it and kind of watching a couple of people's videos and their take. Like JC, he did a video on it. I think like last week.
You want to repeat the question? Is this being recorded?
Yeah.
It's the whole not mentioning toys on YouTube videos, the toy apocalypse on YouTube.
Yeah. I don't think anybody's really gonna be affected by it though.
You don't think so?
No, because we're all of our channels or whatever we're putting out, we're not directing it towards kids. So I think that's the main thing about it.
But it's how they view it though. How
Right.
YouTube views
Yeah.
it.
Like, are they going to look at keywords like toys or like, toy hunting or like moral or...
Are we gonna have to start using code words?
See, that's what we don't know. That's the unknown. I don't think we'll...
The thing that I thought about is the fact that there is a YouTube Kids. Like my girls watch YouTube Kids. And my videos are not on YouTube Kids. So maybe it's just focused on those channels because YouTube was collecting information from kids. They're not supposed to do that. And they got in a lot of trouble. They had to pay, how many millions of dollars in a settlement? So I don't know how it's going to affect us. From what I hear, and this is all just like, here's a rumor or whatever, they could demonetize your channel and or disable comments. So they're not gonna just kill channels. The worst thing that you'll probably, and this is not that bad, but you'll probably see more YouTubers that were making a little bit of money on the side advertising Patreon accounts. So, not forcing people to give them money, but hey, if you wanna support a channel that you like,
enjoy, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, here's a Patreon, you don't have to give, but if you wanna help the channel progress or whatever, that's gonna be an option, I think. So, I'm not too worried about it myself. If I get demonetized, I get demonetized. You'll probably hear more, not fricks, but other F words in my channel. If I get demonetized, I'm not worried about that. But I do realize there are kids that watch my channel, so I try to keep it as good as possible. My own girls watch my channel, so I try and not say words they shouldn't be saying on video. But I think that's what you're gonna see. If someone gets demonetized, probably just advertisements of Patreon accounts. So.
Yeah, I mean, sorry. I'm really concerned about it. So it's going to be really hard to, like, where am I going to get that $50 a year? Christmas is canceled. Christmas is not happening this year.
That's not right.
Because the kids aren't watching anymore then.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like for my channel, it's only people between 30 and 40 watching it, like all 500 people. So I don't think it's a problem. Plus, I have my YouTube set on Europe, so it's going to take another 10 years before they actually do something.
So we all got to move to Europe, I think. Is the,
Just set your account.
That's all we got to do. Set the account.
Yeah.
You got room in the attic for us?
Yeah.
He's got probably a pretty big empty attic from the sounds of it. Is there any more questions, guys?
One more, sorry.
Yeah.
Go for it.
What do your significant others think about your hobby and toy collecting?
Oh my.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I'm on my third wife, so that's not true. Yeah.
I'm currently not married, so I'm good.
But your mom still makes fun of you about it.
I mean, she don't make fun of me about a lot of stuff. That's just how my mom.
My wife, she's pretty okay with it as long as I kind of keep it on a leash and keep it tidy. Because like, if you ever seen any of my videos, like my backdrop is my dining room. So you literally walk into the house and look to the right, and it's just like, what is this? So like when her work friends comes over, she's like, what are you letting your husband do? Like, what's going on? She's like, it's fine. As long as I keep, all the boxes and just keep it tidy, it's all good for me.
So it's not so much the collecting part of it that she has an issue with. She's fine with it. I mean, she has her hobbies. She would just like it to be. There's a little bit of a double standard in our family in that there always seems to be toy money, but not for anything that she wants. Like anything she wants to buy, it's like, oh, we got to check our spreadsheets and our ledger. And how's this going to affect the bottom line? For me, there's always money for toys. So that's what she has a problem with. As far as collecting and buying, the one thing she's a little weirded out with is this, like me just going to a stranger's house, have a sleepover and do other things.
I mean, you do it as a kid. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Why should it stop just because I'm 34 years old? So that's the one part that's kind of like on this whole the YouTube thing. But I mean, I don't really like involve them. I mean, I'll throw my kids in the video every once in a while, and they think it's okay because they're growing up with YouTube content. But
Eddie's on YouTube.
Eddie's a star.
Yeah.
I'm not married, but my girlfriend, we have a kid together, so I mean, we're kind of married. Sarah, she's awesome. We've been together for 11 years. I've been collecting for 10. At first, I was just doing games. And then when she'll come to flea markets with me, and she started pointing out like turtles, and I'm like, I'm not gonna start collecting them. But she was like really pushing, no, you should get it, it's cheap. So it's all her fault. And she'll like think about stuff to do in the game room and toy room, like maybe she'd put up these shelves. So she's a part of it. So it's really awesome. She's supportive of the channel and me just doing this. So it's great having someone that's like thinking about how it can make things great.
Awesome.
One thing I will say, and I will give a shout out to my wife, is that she's not watching, so it doesn't matter. She's the one who, well, not my name, but just, anyways, she's the one that put me over the edge in terms of actually buying Unicron or backing the HasLab one. Because she's like, you're going to regret it, and I'm going to have to hear about it for like the rest of our lives. So just buy the stupid thing and then get it over with.
Are we
right?
married to the same person?